Acrobat Pro. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at SiteImprove, and we can go to SiteImprove and we go to accessibility, and for some reason SiteImprove is down at the moment, so I can't even show you that. And then you'd click on PDFs, and you'll get a screen like this, if you can see it. So just a screenshot of it. So typically what you're going to get when you look at your PDF files is there going to be several different issues, and we're going to look at these, basically these three columns here. Documents that are just images, so there's no readable text in it. It's a scanned document. So if you have an X in that line, that means you probably that's the worst possible situation for a document, is just to be a scanned document, because that is completely inaccessible. There's no text in there at all. I can show you how in Acrobat to resolve that. The second worst situation is a document that isn't tagged. So like in this case here, we have a document that has an X on it. Means it has readable text on it, but it doesn't have any tags. And tags are key to making your documents accessible. Just like if you know anything about HTML, you have your heading tags, you have paragraph tags. A document is very similar. It has the same kind of tags. And a screen reader uses those tags to help the user navigate that document. So, and then other issues you're going to run across are, I got a list on your page there. And this information is also all available on this page here. This Acrobat Professional, so it's sdstate.edu/Acrobat. So typical, we have the non-readable text, no tags, document has no title. That's pretty easy to fix. Document contains no heading tags. The heading order of the document, so you have your H1, H2, H3. If those aren't nested properly, that's going to give you an error for that. Images in your documents don't have any alternative text. There's no language defined in the document. You need to define the language. The form elements don't have a label. Tables have no headings, so again, you have your table, and there's the header row needs to be identified as a header row so that the screen reader can read the table properly. And then a document contains untagged content, and we'll walk through how to do that. So when you go into SiteImprove to correct these file or issues with these documents, you're going to want to ask yourself three things. Does this content, do I really need to keep this content on the website, or is this something I can just remove? Because as you'll see, this is a little bit of work to go through all these documents. And the second question is, would it be easier for me just to pull the content from this file and actually make a web page out of it? Doing this a little bit, I've noticed a lot of people creating documents where they should just be creating a web page. There's a document on a scholarship document that I looked at that this person was updating it every 2 weeks. They're updating this document with basically a list of scholarships on it, when it would just be so much easier just to take that and put it into a page and then update the web page. So much easier. And then the last question is, if it does need to remain as a PDF file, do I have the original file, whether it was in Word or InDesign or whatever you create the document, the PDF from, do I have that original document? Because it is far easier to fix your tagging issues with a document in the original file than it is to do it in your PDF. And again, if you need to know how to do that, there's the other training we did earlier on how to make your Word documents accessible. So the first thing you're going to do, you go to SiteImprove and you'll find your file and you'll click on it, and then you can download that file. So the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to open that file into Acrobat. So I have I have a couple of different examples here, but I'm going to start with this one. So this is a Word document that I created, and it for the most part is very, very clean for a document. We'll do a review before I save it as a PDF. And you'll see that it's actually has no accessibility errors, but we'll look at it in Acrobat and I'll show you that there actually is at least one error in it, and I can show you that. So you don't necessarily, the point is you don't really want to necessarily rely on these accessibility checkers because they still might have issues. So we're just going to create a PDF out of this. So save as, go to PDF, and then I want to make sure best for electronic distribution, because if it's saved as best for printing, you will not get any tags, and so a document that's not tagged is not accessible. So I'm going to save this to my desktop. And we'll open it up in Acrobat Pro. So now that I'm in Acrobat Pro, I'm going to go to Tools, scroll down to Accessibility, and now I've already done this, but you can set this so you can put it in your shortcuts, which I've already done, so it'll be down here on this list, so it's a little easier to get to. Then once you've got the accessibility checker up, then you're going to do is run a full check. So we'll just run a full check, and then this screen we just do all the default settings and just run the check. So you see here it has 2 issues, it says, and every time you run a document, it's going to flag these 2 because these are manually checked ones, and so even after I go through and say yes, these are good, and I opened up the file again, it's going to still give me those 2 errors. They're not really errors, they're more warnings. So this one is, I need to check the read order of the document, and this one is to check the color contrast. So again, if you have anything in your document that you need to make sure that the background color and the text color is at least 4.5 to 1 color contrast ratio. And again, there's a tool online, it's a WebAIM contrast tool that you can use to check that. I do have another tool here that I will use. It's a Dest application. Obviously British because they got a U in the color. So color contrast checker. So we'll just show you how to do this here. Click here. This will check your foreground color, white, and background color is, sorry, come on. And so the color contrast for that passes AA, which is what you're concerned about. AAA, it's nice to have it AAA, but it doesn't have to be. So that's color contrast. So we've checked the color contrast of this document. We checked all the different areas, and now we can hit this and we can say pass. So it's passed. And then now we're going to check the read order. In order to check the read order, what you're going to do is go to this tag tool. And this is going to give you all the tags in this document. So all the tags are going to be tagged into this main folder called tags. And then underneath that, the next tag should be called a document tag. So you've got this document tag, and then underneath that, then you have all your other tags. So here we have an H1, and again, we have this is highlighted. If that is not showing up for you, you can go to here and then highlight content. So now you'll notice that when I click on this, I don't get the highlighting. So what you want to go and turn on highlighting. And so that'll highlight everything. So what you're going to do is what's called walking the tree. So you're going to walk down your tag tree, and then you're going to make sure that everything in the document is tagged correctly. So we have our H1, which is our first tag. and then H2, which is proper. So you've got an H1, you've got your H2 nested underneath that, and then underneath that you'd have an H3. And obviously you can have more than one H2. It's just that you can't have an H3 without an H2. So it has to be nested properly, like an outline. So we'll walk through this and make sure we have everything correct. We keep going through H2, H3, paragraph. We have a figure, an H3. So we have this little interesting little, oops, get back to that. You'll notice here we have that what's tagged here is just kind of an empty space. And so what we want to do is you really want to take that out. You don't really want to leave that. So what you're going to do there is you're going to set this as a you're going to change this to an artifact. So you'll notice that this is the tag, the P tag, and this here is like the content within that P tag. So what we're going to do is we're going to archive this. So if you have something on a document that you just don't want anybody, running across, maybe it's like for example this this image with the that's just totally decorative. That's something you could turn into an archived item so that the screen reader will just skip over it. But this here is just an empty P tag, so we're going to archive it. And now you can see it doesn't have any, like this one has content in it. Now this one doesn't have any content. So now what you're going to do is you're actually just going to delete that tag. And so now that tag no longer gets in the way. And then we have list items. Go through more list items. You got an H3. Now you'll notice there, this is the intentional error I put in here. It has an empty H3. This is actually going to throw an error in SiteImprove. It's going to catch it and say there's an empty heading tag. So this is definitely something you're going to have to fix. So what we're going to do again is go to, we're going to select the actual content itself, the empty content, and we're going to artifact it and say OK. And then we're going to delete this H3 tag. And again, continue to walk through the document. And I think that's about everything in here. Well, there's an empty tag here too. And that's about it. So now that we've gone through and walked the tree, we can go back to this and we can say we have passed on our... So now our document is accessible. We can save it, and then we would do is upload this to the website. And I can show you that tool here. There's another sheet there that shows you how to do that. It's the page or the URL to that tool is sdstate.edu/manage file. So again, tips on doing that. If you search for a file, I'm just going to use this one. You want to do is wrap that in asterisks, the name of the file. Usually what I do is I'll just go and go to the URL of the document that's been uploaded, and I'll copy the name of that file exactly, and then leave out, like if it's .pdf, I'll leave that off. And then I'll wrap that in asterisks, and then I will do a search for it. And then sometimes you get more than one result, and what you'll want to do is you'll want to make sure that the document you're replacing is exactly the same, and you can do that through the path. And what you'll look for to make sure, because when we upload files, typically they're put into folders by the month they're uploaded. So this one was uploaded in September of '07. So if the file path of the one I want to replace is in that folder, then that would be the file that I'm replacing. And if there's more than one file in that, it's going to have a different name. It's going to be appended with a 1 or a 0. So you can identify exactly what file you're trying to replace. So once you do that, you'll check this first row, and then you'll click on Replace, and then you'll choose the file that you want to upload. And I'm not going to replace that file, and then after that, you just click Upload, and then it will replace that file with the new one. And if the file name is the one you saved on your desktop has a different name than the one you're replacing, this will change that to the name of the one that's already on the website, so that the path or the URL to that document remains the same. But that's the way you would upload those files. So that's kind of step-by-step the process. So what do we, there's the other documents we want to look at are a little more involved. They're going to be the untagged documents that have no tags. And that's an untagged document, and then we'll look at how to fix a document that is scanned. So here's my example of untagged document. So again, we'll run the accessibility checker again under Tools, but again I have it set over here on the side. So and then I'll run a full check. And you'll see we have several errors here. Go through lots and lots of errors. Again, like I said, it's a lot easier to fix these if you have a document that is clean to start with than it is to go through and try to clean this in Acrobat. But the first thing we're going to want to do with this is we need to generate tags. So this is the first one we want to fix. Run that, and you'll notice now that a lot of our errors went away because we are tagged now. Now we'll fix the primary language because it's missing the language. Say fix. Now we'll go like this. Click this. Title fix. Sometimes it does that. Sometimes I don't like to do that. I like to go into the properties and actually select it because it gives you this funny title, Microsoft Word. So I like to go in here and make it a nice clean title. And that was under File Properties. And then we keep going. We have Alt Text. We open this here. We have 2 items that need to be fixed. Fix, and this is like it's the heading tool in MS Word. Okay, and then we'll fix this one. And SDSU Camp Neil. Okay. And so now we are back down to only the 2 logical read order and the color contrast. So in here, I purposely put it in a item here that didn't have good contrast in the text. So we zoom in on this. So there is a way in Acrobat to fix this. We can select this item. What we want to do is go into Edit Text and Images. And then we'll select our text we want to change, and then we can select the color, and then we can select a different color. And voila, now we have our color contrast checked. So you'll want to check and go through the document, make sure any place you don't have black and white text, you'll want to make sure that the contrast ratio is good enough. So once we've done that, we'll say okay, pass. So again, the last thing we need to do is go through the tag tree. And with this, there's a lot more work because it's not just as easy as it was before. So we got our tags, and now you'll notice that this tag, instead of being document, it's called part. And so what we want to do is we're going to change this tag. We want to change it to document. So we click on the tag. Right-click on the tag and go down to Properties, and then you're going to get this pop-up window. And here we can change the tag name. And there's a whole list of different tags. And there's another cheat sheet on there that shows you a list of tags and kind of what their purpose of those tags are for. So we're going to hit document, and our document tag has changed. Again, now we're going to just walk the tree. So walk through it, make sure there isn't anything we need to fix. Section, paragraph. I could close this out so we could actually see what we're selecting here. Section. Now we get here. This is like the one place in this document where it really messed up. As you can see here, as we're walking through this, it's got both this and this in the same header. So we have to break this up and actually create all these bullets the same way. So if you can see that. So it's considering this whole thing as one bullet. So when somebody's using a screen reader, they're coming through there. It's going to read this all as one, and then you're going to come down. It's going to read this attend SDSU, and then Jack, and then a graduate, and then worry will. So it's mixing those bullets up. It's grouped them together wrong. So we literally have to go through and fix that. And to do that, you have to take this part of the content out. We'd have to create a new tag, and we're going to create a new tag for our list. And then we've got to also create a new heading tag. As you can see, it gets very cumbersome real quick. And so now I have to put this content, so I can select this. I don't know if I can get it. And we select this tag, right click on it, and what we're going to do is, I got to select it again. Create tag from selected. So now it's actually put this content into this new tag I created. And so we have to completely rebuild this so that this will read correctly. And again, we can move these tags around, because I'm going to want this below this list item but I have to create new list items for each one of those items. As you can see, you have your tag. In list items, you have your tag, or your tag for list. Then you have a tag for a list item. Then you have your tag for a list body, and then your content is within that. So to rebuild that in here, we have to actually create new tag, create the sub tag that goes underneath. So you got your list, and then you got your list item, and then another tag for list body. And then you've got to nest this inside of there, and then this inside of there. And then again, select your item. Oops, if it's going to let me. And then create tag from selected. So it selected more than I wanted. So it's really frustrating. It's not fun process to do. So it's like I said, if you really important if you can use the original document to create this, a lot easier to create a bullet list in your original document, because you just select the text, hit the bullet button, and you're done. This, you have to literally recreate all the tags necessary to make it work. So it's a lot of work. But once that was fixed, and you completely walk through the tag tree again, you will be able to say pass on this, save your document, and then upload it. Again, a lot more work, a lot more work. Let's look at a scan document. So here's a document it's an image, has no text. If we run Accessibility Checker again, full check. It has all the same errors as before. The additional one is it's read only. So again, fix, and it's going to ask you for it's going to do an OCR, which is optical read character recognition. So it's going to read the document, and if the document like this is very, very clean because it's basically a snapshot from Word, so it's really clean. But if it was a scanned document that had out of a book and it had an edge that's black, and your text may not be as readable, and so when you get into that document, so now we have this is scanned, but if you get into a document like that, you might have words that are messed up and garbled. You might have to actually go through and edit that copy and clean it up. And again, you can do that using going into Edit Text. And you can actually change how this document reads. Even though it was a scanned document, now it's editable. So now you can go in and clean up any copy or anything in there. Again, a lot of work. So that's that. And then we'll walk through and we'll fix our tags. It's been tagged. We'll fix the language, English. We'll fix our title. And then fix any alt text. And then, make sure the color contrast is good, and then walk our tree. Again, this needs to be a doc to change that. Oops. Try that again. Change that to document. And again, walk the tree. This actually does a really good job. It did a really good job of tagging this document. So I'm really actually pretty impressed with it. But again, a lot of work. So this would actually be so there's another way to change this. This should actually be an H3. You can change it again through that, or you can actually change it here if you want. But you got to be careful because it is case sensitive. So if you put in H, oops, I put in H. That's not going to work. If you put in like a lowercase h3, it's not going to work. It'll be broken. So it's safer to use the tag tool over here. Go under properties, but you can select that and change those tags manually if you want. So again, you walk through the tree. We'll look at this table here. You'll notice the table down here. It did a really good job of identifying that as a header row. So that table has a header row. The TH is header row, and then here's your data row. I mean, it perfectly tagged that table. Did a really good job. So I mean, the tool, it's great where it works, and it's a lot of work where it doesn't. So it is what it is. So, but that's really about all I have to say. Also want to conclude with the fact that don't get caught into the trap of just fixing errors. Really think about how somebody who is, has to use assistive technology like a screen reader, how they're actually going to get this content. And think about them when you're doing this, because it's real easy just to fix something, just to fix it, and not to really fix it for somebody to use it. So.